Right, so we're going to start in a seated position tonight. Any seat that's comfortable for you. We'll begin with some pranayama, as we usually do, just to kind of bring us into the body. So, once you're sitting nice and comfortably, nice and tall, we'll start with Nadi Shodhana, which is my fave. Some of you might know it quite well, and you might just launch straight into it. And that's absolutely fine. But if you're not too familiar with it, take your right hand and then either close your index and middle finger down towards your palm or place it in the space just between and above your eyebrows. It's quite a nice grounding feeling. It just depends which you prefer. And then from here, have your thumb free and your pinky finger and your fourth finger free. And then take a big breath in through your nose. And seal your right nostril with your thumb and then exhale through your left nostril. Breathe in through the left. Seal your left nostril and exhale through your right. Inhale through the right. Seal your right, exhale through the left. Inhale left. Seal, exhale right. Inhale right. Seal, exhale left. Continue doing this at your own pace. Your eyes can be open or closed. Do one more round like this. Once you finish that round, let both your hands rest over your knees or in your lap with your palms facing upwards. Let your breath just come slowly and naturally. And as you sit here, imagine your sit bones grounding down into the floor. And simultaneously think of the crown of your head growing taller towards the sky. On your next inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky Clasp your hands, flip your grip, and then press the palms of your hands towards the ceiling. Keep reaching as far as you go, as if you feel like you're almost going to lift up off the floor. And then see if you can melt your shoulders just a touch, but keep the length in your arms. On your next exhale, cactus your arms, so bend them at the elbows, spread your fingers wide, so really active. Draw your elbows towards one another and sweep your right elbow over your left, maybe bringing the back of your palms to touch, maybe bringing your palms to touch, or maybe bringing your hands to your shoulders, whatever feels better. Then from here, if you started flaring through your ribs, so if you're kind of creating a back bend, try and undo that by drawing your navel inwards, and then push your elbows away from you. And then allow that sneaky back bend to creep back in. So slightly tilting your pelvis, draw your chest forward. If it feels comfortable in your shoulders, you can lift your elbows up. You can hook your chin onto your left arm if you want to, or you can keep it in the middle. Try and breathe into the back of your body. We're trying to find where in our spine is needing the most attention tonight. This is quite a good shape to figure out where that is. One more inhale. And then release your hands down to your knees, let the blood rush back into your shoulders. Okay, let's do that again. As you inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Clasp your hands, flip your grip, push your hands away from you. Keep on reaching your hands up. And then soften the shoulders a touch. On your next exhale, cactus your arms. Draw your elbows together, and this time sweep your right elbow over your left. If you did it the other way first, just switch around. Decide what shape you're going to take, what variation of the pose. And if you're kind of leaning forward, first of all, try and get tall with the spine, so zip the navel in. Find your grip, and then start pushing your elbows away whilst lifting them and tilting your pelvis so that you can create this back bend. If it's feeling too fiery, you don't need to go to the end of your range of motion. Maybe even hooking your chin onto your right shoulder. Notice how much heat is in your body right now. On your next exhale, release your hands. Maybe close your eyes just so your awareness is really pulled into the arms. Try to encourage your shoulders to droop down here instead of kind of hoiking up to the ears. And then from here, take your feet to touch for Baddha Konasana. Okay, with your feet together, find a nice tall seat. So if you feel like you're kind of slumping here, maybe walk your sit bones backwards so you get almost a back bend, but not quite, in your lower spine. If you need to use support here for your knees, maybe cushions or pillows, that'll feel really nice, or blocks even. And then take your hands, clasp them together and take them to the base of your skull and draw your chin down towards your chest. Try and find some nice long breaths here. Again, notice where in your spine, upper, middle, lower, is talking to you, is telling you that you need to give a bit of love and attention tonight. Now release your hands from the back of your neck. Take them maybe somewhere to your legs or towards the floor, and then start to lean forward into a forward fold. Your chin can be pretty heavy here if you want. If you bow your head, you're going to feel the stretch more in your upper spine. If you lift your gaze, you're going to notice that the sensation kind of moves down to your lower spine and perhaps even into that sort of sciatic zone, so your glutes and the back of your hamstrings, or the length, sorry, of your hamstrings. You can crawl really far forward if you want to, or you can be quite reserved with your fold. If you've got props that you're not using, you can use them to support your head. Maybe your blocks are stacking up, or maybe you've got a bolster across your feet. If you're able to do so, you might even be able to take your elbows to the inside of your feet and cradle your head in your hands.
This world need not hurt no more. Sorry world, even though I love you so, there is no one to turn to, and no one to
Let's take
blame.
another 4 breaths here.
For the blood
Let your exhale pull you a little closer to the ground.
No word. Don't you sit.
Good job, everyone.
Sit and cry.
Okay, on your next inhale, start to push yourself back up. Take a nice tall seat.
Don't you eat.
Keep your hands back behind you, and then take your feet to the ground and then windshield wipe your legs from side to side.
There is no one to turn to. And what will you do?
From here, bring yourself onto all fours. You may want a cushion or something for this nearby. Actually, tell you what, grab your blocks or your books if you're using them. Not brought them to my mat. And take your hands to one hand on each of your books or each of your blocks. If you're using books that are totally different heights, just take your hands to the floor. Otherwise, it's going to feel pretty weird. And then walk your blocks nice and far forward, as far as they'll go. And let your chest melt down towards the floor, keeping your hands on the block. So it's a nice big shoulder and chest opener. Big extension in the thoracic spine. So that kind of middle upper section of your spine behind your rib cage, which is a tight spot. Very hard to open up. You can take your blocks higher if you want to, or lower. You can come onto fingertips. You can make your hands like spiders. Nice. Take advantage of this space that you're creating in your rib cage. Take as much breath into your lungs as you can. And as you do that, you'll feel this really nice big stretching along the back of the body. I feel like when I come into this pose, I feel like I am opening up a new book. You know, when you get that, the spine hasn't been broken yet, you open it up and it's lovely. And if you're not getting a really nice juicy sensation here, try and pull your bum backwards and simultaneously draw your chest a little closer to the floor. Another option here, if you're feeling quite open in the shoulders, is to lift your gaze and look forward, maybe taking your chin to the floor. Anahatasana, heart-melting pose, the shape that we're in, is really wonderful for digestion because it's quite late at night. Your digestion might be quite busy right now, so just enjoy that. From here, keep your body as long as you can, but walk your hands over to the left. So you might need to dodge these props if you're using props. So your hands are crawling off towards the left side of your mat, but the back half of your body is still exactly as it was. If you slightly outstretch the right hand, so walk it a little further towards the front than the left, and you get this amazing lateral stretch all the way down the right side of the body. And then crawl your hands all the way over to the right, dodging your props if you've got them. Slightly extending or overextending the left hand. Walk your hands back through center. Take your hands underneath your forehead, come to lie down on your belly. So elbows are wide here. Okay, from here, if you've still got any props near you, roll them away from you. Roll onto your back. Don't worry that you're not near the camera screen if that's how your mat's set up. And from this position on your back, walk your feet all the way over to the right side and off the right side of your mat. And then cross your right ankle over your left to just anchor it down. And from here, shimmy your head and your shoulders over to the right as well. And you've got the option to stay here with your hands either by your side or on your belly, or you can reach your arms up and overhead and arc them over to the right too. maybe grabbing onto your left wrist or maybe grabbing opposite elbows. Now what we want to try and encourage here is contact with the back body and the floor as much as possible so that we can encourage another lateral stretch here. So we're not quite wanting a twist. So if you can, try to keep the back of your left hip towards the floor. It's probably going to lift up, same with your left shoulder. If it's really lifting up, then place a little book or a wee pillow on the left hip just to gently encourage it to the floor. And think about how your breath is affecting each side of your body here. The inhale is encouraging this expansion through the left, but perhaps on the right things are feeling a little bit more stuffy or a bit closed off with your inhale. How's the exhale feeling? From here, walk your feet back into the middle, take a bend into your knees, and let your walk your head and shoulders back into the middle too, and then let your hands rest on your belly so your shoulders are relaxed. Let your feet go wide and let your knees knock in together for constructive rest. Usually when we take Banana Asana, the name of that fabulous pose, we go straight into the second side to avoid us feeling lopsided, but sometimes it's good to register the lopsidedness that we put our body through when we're in yin. So just take a few moments to register any change. Perhaps you don't feel anything, or perhaps the change feels really loud in your body. Maybe one shoulder's higher than the other. Maybe one side of the body feels a bit longer or shorter. Now we'll even things up. Bend your legs. Walk your feet over to the right hand side, maybe all the way off your mat. And then cross your left ankle over your right. Try and keep that right sit bone towards the floor, or not your sit bone, but the back of your hip. And then again, you can keep your hands down if you want to. Walk your head and shoulders over to the left. And then you've got the arm options that you took before. I'd suggest taking the same variation. Either arms overhead, grabbing your right wrist with your left hand, or framing your head by grabbing opposite elbows. walk the feet back into the middle, head and shoulders back into the middle, and this time draw your knees towards your chest and hug yourself. Maybe a little rock if that feels okay. And from here, gently push yourself towards those seats. Come to face, round towards the front again. So this next shape, one we explore all the time, supported fish pose. You're gonna need your bricks or your books. You might also need a pillow. Sometimes it's quite nice to soften the shape. So just have something soft nearby. So we'll start. I'll show you 2 ways to do this. I'll demo it. I usually demo, but I'll demo. So the first way that we can do this, if you're using bricks, you can have your brick on its middle setting. This is going to be planted underneath our shoulder blades. So you can either have it low like that or high like that. That's the first option. And then you're going to have your other one just at the top here as a support for your head. Now, if you know that you've got quite long quads, or if you know that your quads enjoy a big stretch, rather, I would suggest sitting in a virasana shape like this. So that's where your feet comes between your heels. So you might want to just see if that feels good in your body. And if that doesn't feel good, we'll do the other option. And from this shape, you'll slowly bring yourself down onto your blocks. So you've got this one snuggling underneath the shoulder blades and that one going underneath your head. Now I know that I know a couple of you that don't like this at all. So the other option is to have your legs extended, which is a different shape, but the spine is really what we're thinking about. The quads was just an added idea that you can play with. So whichever version you go for with the legs, what you want is to have that lower block or stack of books underneath your shoulder blades. And if it's really uncomfortable, if it's feeling quite kind of crunchy against your spine, then grab a wee pillow and place it there as a cushion. So take the shape that works best. I'll come and have a little nosy. Don't worry if you're, oh, nice, yep, perfect. And what we want to avoid is having the block on our lumbar spine. So the kind of big curve at the bottom of your spine is quite vulnerable. So move it as high up as you can towards the base of the shoulder blades, so behind the ribs. The ribs are really sturdy. Good, yeah, Elaine, definitely extend your legs. Good. Nice, everyone. And take your time coming into this shape. If you're in it and it's like, oh, this is not feeling good, rejig things. If the blocks or books are just feeling too hard, then just use your pillows instead and make it a softer shape. Good. Now your arms can do what they want to do. For some, extending up feels great. For others, extending out to the side is preferable. And the option to have your hands on your belly is also a lovely, lovely one. Good. Nice. Okay. This is a long hold pose. So we're going to be here for 5 minutes plus. I'm going to give you some silence. For some, this is going to be bliss, and others it might be really challenging. So don't give yourself grief if it's the latter. If your mind is wandering, as always, bring your awareness towards your breath, humming it, counting it, whatever works for you. Got another 5 breaths here. Once you've finished your 5th breath, we're going to roll over to one side. So carefully roll off your props and use your arm as a pillow underneath your head as you curl up into a wee ball on the side of your body. Doesn't matter which side. And the parts of your body that were held by your props are going to need a bit of time just to fill back up with blood, to soften, straighten out again. You can encourage that by sending your breath to the back of your ribs. You almost encourage this expansion out through the back of your body. And from here, use your free hand to push you to a seat. Extend your legs out in front of you, nice and straight. Sit up really tall so your body becomes an L shape. Then take a wee bend in your knees. Your feet can come to the floor or your heels can be resting on the floor. And then bow yourself over your legs for a forward fold. If it feels really awkward and effortful having your heels on the ground like this with your toes elevated, you can let your feet flop towards the ground, or you can even straighten your legs out a little more if that feels better. If you happen to have a bolster, you can snuggle it underneath your knees, same with pillows. Really allow your spine to puff out through the back here. So a shape that we try to kind of not encourage. I'd like you to do that. So we counteraction to this big back bend. Okay. From here, if your props are still on the mat, shove them out the way. Come to lie all the way down on your back. Take a nice bend in your knees. Walk your heels quite close towards your bum. And then allow your knees to wave over to the left-hand side. So they're quite close together here and quite high up towards your chest. Take your left hand and anchor down the outside of your right leg, because it's probably going to ping up. And turn your head over towards the right, and notice if you need to accommodate your right shoulder here. If you need a bit more space, then walk your left shoulder towards the left of the mat. And then extend your right arm. Nice big twist. You've got the option here to cross your right leg maybe once or twice around your left, or you can just keep it stacked on top of the left knee. If you need support underneath your knees, you can grab a pillow or a block and squish it underneath your legs. If you find you're really grabbing like your left hand to your leg, or if you just feel like you're really overly reaching or extending in some part of your body, try and soften that now. Let's make this effortless. From here, bring your knees back through center, unravel them if they're entwined, and then go straight over to the right hand side. So hugging your knees in quite close, let your knees wave over to the right. Take your right hand to the outside of your left leg. Maybe shimmy the right shoulder across to the right, look over the left, and extend your left arm. And if you took a variation with the legs in the first side, then take that again now. So either wrapping your legs or stacking them. Unravel your legs and hug your knees into your chest. Again, you can take a wee rock if you like, or you can stay still. And from here, take your feet to the ground, but keep a bend in your knees and keep your feet nice and close together. And we'll take Supta Baddha Konasana for our final shape before we come into Shavasana. So that's reclined bound angle pose, where your feet are together and your knees are wide. But you might want to set yourself up with some props for this. Maybe your books or blocks or your cushions, just either side of your hips, so that your thighs can rest on them as you peel your legs open. You might not want to do that, you might just want to let the legs hang, but I often find that that little bit of support is quite nice. So decide what you're going to do here, support or no support, and bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees come wide. Because it's been a big spinal focused class, you might find you've got a kind of arch in your lower back. I've done lots of back bends, so if that's the case, just lift your hips, thrust your pelvis towards the sky so that you can lengthen your tailbone away, and then sink the back of your body back down to the floor so it's a bit flatter. It might feel a bit more open in the hips when you do that too. And then from here, just let your arms go where they go. They can go wide, overhead, or your hands can rest on the inside of your thighs. See if you can make your breathing really mindful here. Our breath is such an amazing thing because it's something that we can both control and not. So it's autonomic. It can do it by itself, or we can decide to tell it what to do. The best thing in the world is when you find that sweet spot in between control and no control, where you're aware that your body is ticking away for you and you don't feel like you have to intervene. It's a lot to ask to try and just tap into that, but being aware and being mindful with your breathing is a good way to slip into that zone. So maybe just listening to your breath, or gently encouraging an even breath. Maybe 2 beats for the inhale, 2 beats for the exhale. If you're feeling happy where you are, you can stay here for Shavasana. If you'd like to take a different shape, you can extend your legs or maybe take a bend in the knees. Knock your knees together. Make sure you're warm. Perhaps grab a jumper or a blanket. And we won't get up at the end of class today. We'll stay reclined or in whatever shape you've chosen. So know that if you do start to drift off, if you're feeling very sleepy, then you can let that happen. Don't feel like you need to jolt yourself back into the now. When you're ready, close your eyes. Relax your jaw. Take your tongue away from the roof of your mouth. Soften the space between your eyebrows. And enjoy some stillness for the next few moments. If you'd like to stay Where you are, please do. If you'd like to come back into the room, start deepening your breath. And breathe a bit of movement into your fingers and your toes. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. And just thank yourself for the effort you've made this evening. Take time for yourself. We'll finish with one big breath. Breathe in through your nose and fill your lungs. And sigh. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a lovely evening. Enjoy some rest.